next company is using light therapy to treat eye disease specifically in the aging. I'm here today with the CEO and founder of LumiThera. I'm Joya Doss with Small Cap Nation. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Welcome to you. You know, I've read about light therapy being used in sports medicine, but you're using this in a very different capacity.
That's right. We are an ophthalmology medical device company, and we're developing it to prevent vision loss in the elderly, particularly those that have age-related macular degeneration, the dry form. And there's no treatment right now for those patients. They slowly lose their vision over several years. So we're developing a new therapy for that.
So walk me through the process. I mean, the retina, as you said, is probably the biggest place where you're seeing an impact, but it goes even one step further where you're really energizing the cells to be able to help the body repair itself.
That's right. We're using selected wavelengths that can stimulate blood flow and energy production at the retinal level. And the retina is where, as we age, the retina gets tired. It starts to be susceptible to a variety of age-related diseases, including glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, age-related macular degeneration. And so we're really living longer now. We're starting to see a lot of these age-related diseases. We hope to have a non-invasive, cost-effective therapy to treat early and prevent that vision loss.
And what we're really doing is stimulating the mitochondria. That's the energy generator for the eye, for the body.
Yeah, so it's very similar to what we're seeing that's used to treat millions every day in sports medicine, in arthritis to reduce inflammation, stimulate blood flow. We're improving the cell's performance, and in doing so we can see patients get improvement in their vision, and more importantly in the eye, which is the organ that's most receptive to light, we can see the pathology, and we're actually seeing the pathology regress after treatment.
How big is this market that we're talking about?
In the United States right now there's about 11 million people with AMD, and about 90% of those have the dry form. All they have right now are vitamins, and the doctor wants you to live a healthy life and watch your vision lose.
Is anybody else in the market doing what you're doing?
No, we're the only company in North America that's treating. Photobiol Modulation is the technology we're using, and it's using the wavelengths of selected light, typically in the visible to near infrared, to stimulate cellular function.
And how far away from this coming to market and being a mainstream product?
Well, right now we're making our instruments at the manufacturing floor. We anticipate being approved in Canada in early 2017, and then getting CE mark, which will allow us to go to Europe and do a multi-center trial. In the United States, we hope to be here in about 2 years.
Is anybody else in the competitive marketplace doing what you're doing?
They're using it in other applications, but we're the leading company in Photobiol Modulation for ocular indications.
Okay. And so when you take a look at the two-year mark, or you look at the 5-year mark, how big of a market is this? How much revenue could you possibly glean from this product?
Well, just the United States, it's expected that the population is going to double by 2020, from 11 to about 22 million. Overall, in about 20 years, you're going to see about 25 million patients in North America, 65 million in Europe, and over 100 million in Asia. So this is a global. Vision loss is without borders. And as we live longer, these kind of diseases continue to be an important aspect that we need to have early and preventive treatments for.
I think we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about your background, because you have a big science background as well.
Yeah, I trained in large pharmaceuticals. I'm a neuropharmacologist by training. I've been working in age-related diseases for many years, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, that. Then I worked for a company called Omeris and was a co-inventor on a cataract combination drug product. But I cross-trained and also learned how to develop medical devices. And when I saw the technology, I thought, wow, we can use these devices to non-invasively go after targets that are very hard for the pharmaceutical industry to create, and provide a non-invasive, cost-effective treatment for these patients.
Now, you've done a fair amount of work overseas before you start to even think about bringing this onto the U.S. shores. Why there?
Well, one, it's easier for us once we have a acceptable device that goes through all the safety testing. We can get it in the doctor's hands, and we can start to treat and garner more clinical data to support our U.S. launch. I've done this previously in a medical device. It allowed us to get the product out into the hands of the doctors and start to treat patients. And this is one of those things that we need to be able to treat now, and we can.
And one of the other things you need is money. You've already raised a round of funding. You're raising more funding. Tell me about that.
So we just launched the Series B round, and this is really our commercialization round. This is the round that helps us build those instruments so we can get it in the doctor's hands. We can start to expand in Canada and in Europe and set the stage to come into the United States in about 2 years. So this is a big round for us.
And as far as the commercialization is concerned, like, what's the exit strategy? I mean, you know, yes, you're in the product, but now you've got to get out of the product. What are you telling investors?
Well, this is an area that is very large in terms of the commercial potential. There are no treatments for dry age-related macular degeneration, but this instrument could be a mainstay in the doctor's office, so it could treat other injury to the eye, other retinal disease. And so there are several companies, both large pharmaceutical as well as medical devices in the ophthalmology space, that would ultimately be our partner or could potentially be our acquisition. We'd love to be here at the New York Stock Exchange. I think that's every CEO's dream, to be on the market. So that's an opportunity for us as well.
And what would your ticker be?
Probably Lumi, L-U-M-I.
So, I mean, this is a non-invasive solution. I think it's really important for people to know that. I mean, we talk about lasers, but this isn't lasers. This is low light therapy. How is it different? And tell me more about that part.
Well, so this technology is being used in other areas, but typically the doctors that are treating your knee or your ankle are not going to point a laser into your eye.
Right.
So we make an instrument that's ocular safe. It's a light emitting diode of different wavelengths, and this instrument can work in the ophthalmologist's office very quickly to treat patients. The treatment is a little over 4 minutes per eye. So for the patients, there's no drugs on board. They can come in, receive the treatment, and we treat repeatedly for about 9 sessions over a month. And that seems to be good for about 6 months, and then we want you to come back in. So it's a little bit more of a preventive. Let's stop the progression of the disease and improve your vision.
Any downside when it's been in clinical trials?
No, Photobiol Modulation, which is the technology we're using, is very safe. It's been used in arthritis for many years. It's now moving its way into dental applications, being used to protect against radiation and treatment in cancer. Sports medicine is using it. So it really is a very safe, well-proven technology.
You have a track record of working in age-related diseases, but tell me about the team that's kind of galvanized around this product as well.
We have, of course, with medical devices, we have engineers as our founders, we have 2 ophthalmologists as our founders, and myself as a pharmacologist. And beyond that, we have some of the top centers in Europe that are willing to participate in our European clinical trial, and some very big centers in the US and in Canada that are talking with us to participate in further clinical studies. So it really is a global team that we have.
And so again, the macular degeneration market, how large is that in terms of
It's
scope?
going to be about 300 million patients
And so
in the
there's a
next
real
20
opportunity
years.
for you.
It's a huge opportunity.
Well, what is your message to investors?
We have basically a non-invasive, cost-effective treatment that can have an impact not only on patients that are going blind now, but patients that are early on in the disease, and we can prevent them from going down that path. It's a huge impact in terms of their quality of life. And for an elderly person to add a drug when they're on 6 or 7, this is an alternative that can be used. So from the investor standpoint, this is something that we're bringing to the market in the next 6 months. And this is something that can have a huge impact in the world right now.
And that's what's interesting to me, is that it's scalable. This isn't
Yes.
something that's just going to be for folks here who could just go to the doctor tomorrow and get something zapped, but you could bring this to other countries as well.
Absolutely, and we're planning on doing that. We already have key opinion leaders in Australia and Singapore, in other countries that are looking for us to bring them the instrument and start to treat patients. So what we're doing is starting to launch in Europe, but that will allow us, then that package will allow us to go broadly into other countries.
Have you already identified which countries you might want to go into?
Well, we're going to start with a soft launch in Europe with about 6 countries, and we've got key opinion leaders that will participate in our clinical trial. So we've got top centers in France and Germany and the UK and Spain and Turkey and Italy that are going to participate in the trial. But beyond that, we've already got some places in Asia and in Australia that are looking at participating with us in 2017. So hopefully this will be a very global, broad application.
We have a few seconds left. Your last words for either investors, shareholders, or anyone else that you'd like to get a message out to.
Well, I think the point is that to treat these long-term degenerative diseases, we can have a huge impact on the quality of life, and we need to treat early and cost-effectively, and we can do that.
Clark, thank you so much. Thank you for being here
Thank you,
today.
Joy.
That is the latest on a company called LumiThera that's bringing some innovative therapies to eye disease for the aging. Thank you for joining us on Small Cap Nation. I'm Joya Das from the New York Stock Exchange. And for more interesting insights into companies, visit us at smallcapnation.com.